And welcome back to Skyhawk Sports Talk. Davis Gregory here with Chris Brinkley, a jam-packed episode 5 guest for us for a jam-packed week in UT Martin athletics. Get into this week in athletics to open us up. Softball having a scrimmage against Jackson State Community College at 3 p.m. tomorrow. Rifle will be at Morehead State this weekend at 7 a.m. on both Friday and Saturday. Soccer plays in the first round of the OVC tournament in Evansville, Indiana. They'll take on Morehead State in the first round at 1 p.m. on Thursday on ESPN+. Volleyball will be at Tennessee State at 6 p.m. on Friday, 2 p.m. Saturday. Cross country will be hosting the Ohio Valley Conference Cross Country Championships. That will be on Friday. The women's 6K starting at 9 a.m., the men's 8K at 10 a.m. Then women's basketball and exhibition against Trevecca at 6 p.m. on Wednesday in the Elam Center. Skyhawk Madness also this week. That'll be tomorrow. It's a tip-off event at 6 p.m. in the Elam Center. Going to have a half-court shot for a scholarship, 3-point contest. Both teams are going to be scrimmaging, and you'll get to meet both teams. Incredibly successful last year, and expecting some of the same for both those groups, the men's and women's team. And then football will be at Tennessee State at 5 p.m. on Saturday. That will be on the Skyhawk Sports Network and ESPN+. Chris, fun show for us.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about, don't we?
We do. We have a ton to discuss. This is going to be a great show, great time, and we're going to start it off with Brady Millikin from the UT Martin Cross Country team for our first guest here on this episode of Skyhawk Sports Talk.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And back here on Skyhawk Sports Talk, Davis Gregory with Chris Brinkley, the UT Martin Cross Country team hosting the OVC Cross Country Championships this Friday. And we have Brady Millikin joining us, senior and captain on the cross country team. Brady, thanks so much for joining us.
Glad to be here.
So a very exciting week, and it's been an exciting season for you all so far. What's been, I guess, your general thoughts on the year so far from you all?
It's been a good season. We came in with some really good talent. And then early on, we had a really good meet at Memphis, and we kind of built from that. We had our outstanding freshman. He was 5th at Memphis, and then throughout the season he's kind of built up and done even better. He was our number 1 at our last meet, so looking forward to that, and looking forward to the conference meet here that we get to host here on Friday. And if you look at the teams we've in the conference, we've SEMO, USI. We've been really close to them, losing to them, but really close, and looking forward to having that home course advantage and kind of getting the edge on and put our best foot forward and seeing what we can do.
It's been a really good year for you. You led in the last meet, and you had a PR in the last meet in the Angel Mountains Invitational. I mean, great job in that in the AK. Walk us through your performance in that one.
So when I started making my goals beginning of the season, I wanted to break 25. So ran 24:57, so finally broke that goal, so really happy to do that. And then I was just happy to progress throughout the race. We got out pretty quick at like 4:53 mile pace, and was able to maintain that, catch a lot of the field that went out even quicker, and they died off a little bit, so ended up having a really good one.
And coming out of Hedrick, Ohio, or Hedrick? How do you say that?
Hedrick,
Iowa.
Ohio.
Cedric, Iowa, not Ohio. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Tell us about your hometown.
Yes.
Yeah.
So our high school is fairly small. It's a 1A school, so I had about 60 in my graduating class. I say I'm from Hedrick, Iowa, but I'm more in the country, more in the rural area. So I live on the farm. So, it's quite similar to Martin, where you get to know everybody. The class sizes are small, so it's very familiar.
So living on a farm, what were your duties there in the family as you were living there?
We had a cattle farm there, and just doing the chores morning and night, and making sure that they got properly fed and vaccinated and everything that they needed. So
that's a lot of work.
Yeah, that is a ton of
The
work.
worst thing is
sometimes Dad would wake me up at like 7 a.m. and 6:30. All right, we're moving cows. Like, I really don't want to be doing that right now. But
I know one of the worst things in that situation is when they get out, when they're out of the fence.
And that's usually by a lack of making sure that you shut the gate properly, and then somebody's mad at you for some reason because, of course, it's not their fault.
No, of course. It's never
Yeah.
it's never anybody else's
Yeah.
fault. Always your problem. How long did it take you whenever they do get out to get them back in?
It really depends on how difficult they want to be, but it could span from 5 minutes to over an hour. So
I have a question. I've been around a lot of animals in my life. My mother almost has a zoo, but they're all pets.
Mhm.
But cattle, are they smart animals? Because I'm on the fence. Sometimes I think they're extremely
really
wise and
based
smart.
on the individual, I would have to say some are a little smarter than others. I don't have too much experience with other animals, but
Okay. Yeah.
I would say they're generally smarter than some other ones,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they can also move a lot quicker. So
Yeah,
if they
yeah.
decide to be not on the smarter side.
But they do have personalities.
Yeah, that's one thing. When I went through 4-H, so got them halter broke and everything, and you can kind of see that some others were easier than others, and some were just going to always be a little bit difficult, but you get to learn their ways and tactics, and you kind of handle it with that.
Can I ask you one more in-depth cattle question? Growing up, I'd always heard when the cows are facing in the same direction, the fish are biting.
I haven't heard of that.
Okay.
I've never heard that before.
Well, I don't know, so you can't
You know what? Next time I go fishing, I'll be looking where they're looking.
ask your family.
We're going to have Coach McMillan on. He's a big
Yeah,
fisherman.
maybe
We
he
need
can
to ask
tell
him.
us.
We can
Okay.
ask him. So you went to Perkin High School, but went to Indian Hills Community College before you came to UT Martin. Why did you transfer?
So community college is a 2-year school, and I decided to go there because I got a full tuition scholarship, and it was 30 minutes away from my hometown. So pretty good situation there. And then was able to graduate a little bit early, so mid-year, and then transferred here. And the reason why I came here was Colton Glosser. He's now the GA of our program, and we went to high school together. And then I followed him to Indian Hills, and then followed him here. So I guess we're pretty good friends, if you could say that, and I haven't regretted my decision coming here one bit.
So you've been here 2 years now at UT Martin. I mean, what makes this place feel like home, and why did you stay and decide to stay here as a Skyhawk?
I think it begins with the team. The team was really good and taking me in, and we hung out all the time, and we still do. And like I said before, I'm familiar with kind of being in a smaller area. I mean, if you look at it, Ottumwa, it's very similar to here. Indian Hills was in Ottumwa, but just the size and classes, everything is very similar, very familiar, and how the team kind of took me in when I transferred was a big thing of just adjusting and making this feel like home.
So hosting the OVC Cross Country Championship, this is going to be the first time since 2004 it's been in West Tennessee. It was back in Oxford, Alabama in 2014 when the Skyhawks hosted it then. And what are some goals, obviously, to win the total team championship and win a medal, of course? What are some other goals, though, that you have, maybe more specific for you and your team as you approach this weekend?
Like I said, a lot of the individuals, like I know Sam, Keegan, the freshman, they look at, well, obviously want to get all conference honors. Angus and I both want to make all conference honors, and that's one thing individually we want to do, whether that's first team or second team. And the better we do individually is the better we're going to do as a team. So if we can put 5 in the top 20, that's going to be mixing things up a little bit. And I guess when we look forward to what we can do at conference is just making sure we put our best foot forward and doing our best. And that course over there, it's 5 laps, and it's not very flat. You're usually going up or down. So as a runner, you're always looking for a rhythm and trying to get into a rhythm. And it's kind of hard to do that with 5 laps and always going up and down. So you're going to have to be mentally tough, and that's one thing we're had the privilege and opportunity of being able to train out there. So we're the only ones that have been able to run on there in the OVC. So looking forward to putting our best foot forward and see what happens.
And as a senior, what are your plans here after graduation?
Currently interviewing to PT schools. Look forward to doing that for the next 3 years. Yeah. So I haven't decided where I'm going to be going, but that's soon to be decided.
Nice.
Well,
it's a busy industry, so I think you'll be in good shape. When did you start running? When did you know this was your sport?
I started running in 7th grade, so pretty early on, and had early success there and never look back.
Okay.
And have great success right now. Well, Brady, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck on Friday.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will have head coach of the UT Martin soccer team, Mike Varga, join us here on Skyhawk Sports Talk.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And back here on Skyhawk Sports Talk, Davis Gregory with Chris Brinkley. Now joining us, head coach of the UT Martin soccer team, Mike Varga. Skyhawks finished the year 2-1 to make a push there to punch their ticket into the OVC tournament. And Coach now joins us here, and a lot of injuries on this year, Coach, but still finding a way to get into the postseason.
Yeah, no, it's I don't remember a season in my career where it's been like this. So,
Whoa. And how many years have you coached?
yeah, a long time.
Yeah.
Well over, probably going on 30.
Wow.
So, yeah, it started even before the season with a couple messages over the summer of somebody not coming back because of some family issues, and then a couple injuries in summer leagues, and then first week. So, yeah, it's been trying, but the players they've shown a lot of resilience. They work hard every day, and we're not going to use it as an excuse. We're going to keep plugging away.
I know Ava, coming over from England, played in some top leagues over there, and saw her in, of course, the full leg brace, but also a boot on the other foot. And I felt like when I saw that, I was like, that pretty much defines the year, basically, as everyone has just been so dinged up. Allie Buckman, who started, she tore up her knee in I think the first home game of the year, second home game of the year. So it's really been a high mountain to climb. But how have you all been able to overcome that and still put together a good season to get into the tournament?
Well, I think there's players that have used this as an opportunity that probably coming in, everyone wants to play a lot of minutes, but probably understood that they were going to play a little bit less of a role than what they've been asked to play this year. Mm-hmm. And everyone's doing the absolute best they can, and we're probably depleted at a couple of positions. You take a player like Allie, and I always tell her that she's probably, it's more noticeable when you take a player like her off the field than when she's on it, just because she does all the little things. She's a physical presence for us, and we definitely have missed her and some of the others. But I've asked players to play in roles that they haven't played before, and they're, like I said, they're working hard. They're watching film, trying to do what we ask, and fortunately we've gotten enough results to get into the tournament, and then we'll see what we can do.
Watching them compete, having them here on this podcast, the optimism and the attitude is still there, which I think a lot of that probably goes back to you and how you deal with some difficulties.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I haven't had a season like this, and they're a great group.
Resilient.
They are, and give them a lot of credit for even though you talk about Ava coming in first day hurt from England. A lot of girls would jump on a plane and fly home.
Go home, yeah.
And we'll try it again maybe, but she stayed, and the team has embraced her, and she's embraced. I'm going to do everything I can, and yeah, how about you tear your knee and then you're on crutches, you end up with a stress fracture in your other foot. I don't know how that happens.
That is unbelievable. Like, that truly is unbelievable when you sit back and think about it, because it's just, all right, you were already hurt on that. How did you hurt that one too? But it is unbelievable, though, this team's resolve to continue, and especially down the stretch, the final 3 games, talking about that now. You go 2-1 and 2 shutouts, one of which against Eastern Illinois, who had just beaten Tennessee Tech, who won the conference again for the 3rd straight year. Really impressive finish to the year to be able to end up with 6 points and punch your ticket.
Yeah, I had a feeling going in that if we won 2 out of our last 3, we were going to be in. I didn't know that until yesterday, right before kickoff, that was actually going to be the case. But that's what it ended up being, and we get 2 wins on the road, 3 of our wins on the road this year in conference,
and in Illinois.
So yeah, too bad we're not going to Illinois.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Just make a petition for that state has to host
That's right.
every single tournament now.
But no, I think they're excited about being in the tournament. It would have been such a bitter taste to lose the way we did yesterday and then have that in the season. So I think, thank goodness for the seniors, we have another opportunity to get that taste out of our mouth and go compete again, and it's the conference really has been wide open this year.
And it really has. I mean, you had Lindenwood, Little Rock, and Tennessee Tech all could have won the championship yesterday. So, I mean, you had that going. And then you had us, you had SIUE, Eastern Illinois, and SEMO all trying to kind of finalize your spots in the tournament. It was really a competitive year overall.
Which is going to make for an interesting tournament, right?
No, it really is. I think I look at I thought we matched up well against Moorhead when they were here, and I thought we played well. We created some very good chances with everybody. Lindenwood, when they were here, I thought we played a good match against them. So there was really not a matchup that I feared in the first round, and I think that if we play well, we can compete against anybody, and we just have to we found a way to make one or two mistakes in a match that have really cost us. And then we've on the other end, when the opponent makes those same mistakes, we haven't been able to put the ball in the back of the net. So hopefully we can flip that this weekend.
Yeah, if I said that with soccer, and I don't know how to verbalize it, you're a coach, you probably can better. But like in football, all penalties are not created equal based on when it happened. In soccer, not all mistakes are created equal. And two mistakes, one team can make 10 visible mistakes that don't lead to a goal, but one or two mistakes in soccer can be the difference in a game, depending on timing. I don't know how I want to say that, but I'm sure you can explain it better.
Yeah, I mean, normally you can go back to the film, and you can every goal you give up, sometimes it's goalkeeper error, but that really hasn't been the case for us. I thought Max had a great year this year, but you can probably look at two or three things.
Yeah.
If we would have forced her outside, if we wouldn't have been undisciplined with our defending, she wouldn't have got the shot off. And then it seems like when we give up those shots, they find the upper corner somehow against us, and we get the same giveaways and in front of the net, and we put it over quite a bit. So.
Yeah.
And they in training, I don't know if it's there. I think one of the byproducts of having the injuries is there's a pressure that we've got to. When we get these chances, we have to put them away. And I think when you're not relaxed, that's the ball's going over, because every day in training, they're scoring goals.
Yeah.
And that's been a struggle for us.
And you mentioned those seniors, getting them another day to fight. 5 of them honored on senior day. And talk about their impact to this program. I know a couple of them won that championship in 2021. They've welcomed you in as the head coach from last year, and then this being your second season. Just talk about them and what they've meant to the UT Martin soccer program.
Just incredible. We do something that I call it the hot seat. And we put our seniors, we did it one day after training each day last week. And I think it's so important, and not just teammates, but family or whatever the case may be, to tell them what they really mean to you. And we put our seniors, something I brought with me that I've done for years. We brought our seniors, or we put them in a chair in front of the team, and I say, all you can do is have eye contact and say thank you. And I've had teams where 3 or 4 or 5 players will say something, I'll say something, and then it's some awkward silence, and you move on. Every one of our seniors, I think every single player on the team, from freshmen to fellow seniors, had something to say about inspiration, how hard they work, what they've meant to them in their life. Best friend, can't wait to have you in my wedding someday. All those things that, for me as a coach, obviously the wins are huge, but even more, it's about creating this experience for these young ladies that is going to last for the rest of their lives. And if we can create that here, then I think the rest will come, and we'll bring in players, and we'll have years where we stay healthy.
I want to stop and compliment you on doing that period, because the players feel that way about each other. They might just not verbalize it, or it might not occur to them the need to verbalize it. And for you to set up that situation, we should do it in our office. No, quite honestly. Because
we should do it with our families.
100%.
Because we leave so many things unsaid.
Yeah.
And
you assume that the other person just knows that.
Right.
Like, I think that you're a great guest on this podcast, but I don't know if I've ever told you that, so you wouldn't know what I thought about that. No, but honestly, yeah. And your humor that we talked about the last time we had you on.
Yeah.
But sometimes you need to have a catalyst to get that out.
Yeah.
To show your appreciation for others, because sometimes we get in the tendency as people to only say things when we're unhappy with something.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
No, and I think it's important for them to know as they're leaving the impact they've had.
Yeah.
And it's funny, because there are some stories. Remember that time, my freshman year, your junior year, when you said this to me and I was going through this hard time, and that really stuck with me. And the senior, be like, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
So even the little things that you do can impact someone forever.
Yeah.
And I think it's good for them to see that too. And I think it helps our young players too to understand this is more than just going to practice a couple days a week. This is you're forging lifelong friendships and you're looking out for each other.
It's a great exercise.
It's important.
Yeah.
And play Morehead State on Thursday at 1 p.m. You talked about the matchup with them. Just a preview for us with the Eagles in that first round in Evansville.
No, they were also in the mix to host, and I think if they would have beat SIUE, they would have hosted another good season. A lot of new faces, new coach, some very talented players. They have a center forward that is dangerous, can score goals. They have experience in their back line. Midfield, some new players, some new transfers. So they're not the same team they were last year when they went to the NCAA tournament. But they have a lot of those players back, and they play with confidence. And I think we'll go into that match with confidence too, knowing that it was anybody's match the first time we played. So I think we match up well with them, and they try to play, we try to play, so it should be an entertaining match.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Coach, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck in the tournament.
All right, thank you.
And we will take a break. When we come back, we'll have head coach Kevin McMillan join us here on Skyhawk Sports Talk.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
Back here on Skyhawk Sports Talk, Davis Gregory here again with Chris Brinkley, now joining us, making his debut of the new season. Chris,
Yeah.
fired up.
Yeah.
Head coach Kevin McMillan of the UT Martin women's basketball team. Skyhawks open up the season next week at home against North Alabama at 6 p.m. Also have an exhibition this Wednesday against Trevecca at 6. Bring back a very talented team that just went to the NCAA tournament last year. And coach, 16th season for you. How are things feeling?
Not bad. We don't have any major injuries that are slapping us in the face at this point, which is the first one in probably 5 years. We do have some little dinged up ankles and shoulders, and we have a couple of kids coming back from injuries, but they're pretty healthy. So, by and large, we're pretty optimistic going forward about our health.
And I was down there for track and field media day. Coach, you were taping up Shay's ankle. I mean, with all these injuries, have you kind of learned to
Coach
tape
was,
it? Yeah.
Coach was taping
He was taping up her ankle. I couldn't believe
you
it.
can tape an ankle?
Oh, I've taped ankles for 20 years. Haven't taped in a while, but I taped Shay's ankle down at Mississippi State, and she liked it, so I taped her again.
That might be the good luck charm, though. That might be the thing to do
yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
What's it like, especially with the new players coming in and you really getting to see them for the first time? What are you looking for?
Biggest thing is I want them to understand intensity, about how hard you need to perform with each other. And then 2 is I want them to be good teammates and define what that means for us, because every one of them comes in with their own definition of intensity, and everyone comes in with their own definition of what a good teammate is. I mean, they may think they're being a good teammate, but our definition of a good teammate is you do these things. So those are the 2 things that I'm kind of looking for the most as we start the season, or when they get here and we're developing.
And when you first came here, you had coached some of the players that were pretty solid, Heather Butler, when you were a high school coach. So you already understood all of that. When new players come in now, they're coming from different programs and different backgrounds, and you're having to align on those philosophies.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds simple, but it's not, because, hard work.
Yeah.
Well, every kid
what
is
is hard
going to
work?
walk in and say they work hard, and
Yeah.
you're going to go, oh, okay, well, tell me what that means to you. And then they kind of give you this blank stare, and then they'll go, well, I shot today, and I ran. Oh, okay. How much did you shoot? How much did you run? Well, I shot for 20 minutes, and I ran for 10. Okay. That's what you would be doing in March to maintain yourself. To get ready for a season, you need to be shooting about 8 times more than that, and you need to be running about 10 times more than that. And so you just have to define every word: sacrifice, discipline, attitude, effort. All of those things, we all have to understand. Now, what I tell them is that your definition is not wrong. The only problem is we have to have a collective definition, and that's where the head coach comes in. And I can't take your definition of hard work because I don't know what it is, and I haven't lived it. And I can't take your definition. So this is where, okay, guys, sorry, but if we're going to take one definition, we're going to take mine.
Yes.
Because I understand mine and can coach mine.
Yeah.
I can't coach yours. I'm not saying yours is wrong.
Yeah.
But it's way easier for one player to adapt to one coach than for the coach to adapt to 15 players.
100%.
So
although you do have to a little bit.
Some,
Yeah.
but not on major, like, defining things of your program.
But even more than that, I'm just reading a book on self-identity. And, like, if I asked Davis who you are, what would you say? Well, I'm a broadcaster, I'm this or that. Same with your basketball players. Who are you? Some of your players might believe I'm not a very good defender. Well, if they believe that, they're probably not going to be. You probably had other players that come into this program and said, I'm going to be the best defender on this team. And you've got to figure out what their identity is and help them to change it so it helps your team if change is necessary.
Yes, and it's like a Rubik's cube because they could be a good defender.
And you see it and they don't.
Right, but then they might, if you put them with a certain group of players, they're not a good defender. You put them with a different group of players and they're a really good defender.
Right.
And a lot of times they don't know. Yeah, a lot of times, probably primarily, they set the bar for themselves too low. And they don't like it when I set the bar higher, but it's so backwards. They're like, no, I'm not as good as you think I am. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
But I want to be, so you do? Yeah. Well, then this is what you need to do.
But if you didn't believe it, you wouldn't set the bar.
No,
high for them.
you can't. You can't tell a kid that they're a great defender when they're really not, because they'll fail. And they'll fail again and again. They can't succeed, and then they're not going to trust you. So you have to be honest with them and tell them, I've told one this year she could be a top 10 three-point shooter in the country. She could be. Well, will she? I don't know, but she can be. I've told Anaya, you could dominate our league as a post player. Well, I'm not going to tell that to a freshman walking in the door that hasn't, so it's kind of like you have to make them impatiently patient.
Yeah.
They have to push themselves, but yet not expect to turn things around in a day, for instance.
Yeah.
Players to watch before the year. Kinley, McCarn, and then Anaya Brown. You just mentioned Anaya. What have you seen in their game as they've come in, and this now being their third year? That's hard to believe.
Yeah, Kinley, we're trying to keep Kinley healthy. She tweaked her ankle throwing a behind-the-back pass, which I ripped her on for throwing a behind-the-back pass. And
if I played for you, I would never.
Everything is a chest pass, and it's going to be a fundamental bounce pass.
Anaya's challenge is simply Anaya doesn't understand how good she is, and so she kind of limits herself or doesn't believe she can actually do the things she does. But then when she does, she kind of has this aha moment, and we're all sitting there twiddling our thumbs waiting on her to have her aha moment because we know she can do it. Mm-hmm. So they're both pushing, but it's just weird because I don't want them to get hurt, so we're kind of not pushing too hard to get them to games because they'll learn a lot more when we start playing games because we're going to try to play faster. Shay's back. Allie Collette is back. Morgan Borgstadt's back. Nora got hurt. She's actually practicing yesterday. So there's a lot of pieces there, and probably more experience than we've had. But then we still have a lot of newcomers. But the funny thing is that we have so much more experience than we've had.
Yeah.
They're still freshmen and sophomores.
Yeah. They're still young.
We're still probably one of the youngest teams in the country, and yet we're talking about we have all this experience. So
but Kinley had talked about that she's now going back to shooting guard, whereas last year getting put in that point guard role. What does that mean to the team with her being in the role of a two?
It probably lets just Kinley do her thing more, and she's such a winner that she's just kind of back in her comfort zone. I don't know. There at the end of the year, we had kind of figured out how to manage both sides of that. I think you're just going to see Kinley doing more rebounding and scoring, and I think all of her numbers are going to go up because she's not having to try to run a team and take care of the ball and be that type of leader. But will it? I don't know because I don't know what kind of focus the other teams will now put on her. I have no idea.
What's the ceiling for this team as you look at this group? I know still young, but made the NCAA tournament last year and picked second in the preseason poll, I believe. What do you see from this group as really how high they can go?
I think that right now we have the pieces here that can make it to the tournament, and I think they've got a chance to win. There's just too many variables there. Matchups are the key thing, but I think they have the ability to be a dominant force in our league. But that's going to be on their shoulders. They're going to have a different challenge this year. What they didn't understand last year, why do teams play so hard against us? Because they're freshmen and sophomores. And it's like now they kind of get it. Look up at the banners. 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 18, 21, 22, 24. That's why they play so hard. Yeah, but they didn't have anything to do with that. So now they're going to kind of have a different mindset in that, but teams are going to, they're going to mark us on their schedule. And how do they respond to that now that they know it? I don't know. And how do they mesh the new ones? I don't know. There's just so many things that are uncertain, but I would say that the ceiling for this bunch is very high. Where it actually is set, though, right now, I'm not real sure. We'll have to play a few games.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for coming on, and I hope your voice gets better. Coach just had to wear the lavalier mic with the speaker during practice, and I'm listening to you, and at times you are doing good. But other times, I'm like, Coach, you got to stop yelling. You got to save your voice.
It's actually getting better, but it's going to be a long process, and I'm probably going to end up having to have surgery. But it is getting better.
Because you actually have been to a throat specialist.
Yeah, and they said this is 35 years of coaching in a gym where you have to be forceful with your voice. The funny thing is, though, is that they told me I don't breathe right.
When you're talking or all the time?
All the time. They said you're 57 years old and you don't know how to breathe.
So are you working on that?
I'm trying to.
They give you exercises?
Yes, and it's absolutely humiliating.
So what is your breathing ceiling?
We have to take a break right here.
No, well, what is it? Can you share with us?
Breathing ceiling. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, like, how good can you be as a breathing and talking at the same time?
Are you rating me like what am I now, 0 to 10?
Yeah, because you now have a coach.
I'm probably a 4 in breathing
but
and talking.
You'll be an 11 because I know you're competitive.
If I can figure it out, if I could just get to like an 8 or a 9, I'd be thrilled.
So what are the exercises?
We got to take a break.
No.
They've got me.
Hey, now we're on a podcast now, Coach. We don't have the radio to obey.
They've got me blowing bubbles in a cup while you make noises.
Okay.
Like you did when you were 2 years old.
No, totally. I do long form narration, so you have to learn when to breathe, and so you don't have to edit.
And they're talking about breaths, about
straw.
how to breathe.
Use a straw.
Yeah. No. And then I'm also taking medication, and the weirdest thing is that they have me stretching.
Yeah, no doubt.
Stretching my neck and stretching my back.
Yeah. No, posture's everything.
And they're talking about the therapist was wonderful. She said, you need to go get weekly massages because she said, I'm unbelievably tight in here. And I did not know that affects your voice.
Yeah, it does.
And so when I started loosening up, it made a difference.
Yeah, 100%. So we could have a really this is my therapy.
Well, of course, this is y'all's livelihood.
Yes.
I would tell you, start stretching, start doing these things because the lady that I'm going to is out of Vanderbilt, and Paul gave it to me.
She's very good.
And she's very, very good. And she has a ton
and works with a lot of music artists.
Yes, a ton of musical people that are all – and that's one thing they ask. Do you sing? And I literally started laughing. Yeah. So it was funny.
I love it.
I can't wait to talk to you off the air about this stuff.
Great stuff.
Talking a little bit about women's basketball and vocal cord training. Coach, thanks so much for joining us.
You never know what we're going to talk about.
You never know. We'll take it. Yeah, absolutely. We will take a break. When we come back, head coach of the men's basketball team, Jeremy Shulman, will join us here on Skyhawk Sports Talk.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And we're back here on Skyhawk Sports Talk. Just had the season debut of Coach McMillan. Obviously, he's been on before Chris, but now we get the official debut
That's right.
of a new UT Martin men's basketball coach, Jeremy Shulman. Coach, thanks so much for being here, and it's great to have you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm so excited to be here.
You know, I love your energy and your enthusiasm and your just happiness for life. I really mean that, but it's contagious.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Well, I'm very excited to be here, very excited to be on the first podcast of not just, again, the year and the season, but for my Division I career. So very excited.
And listen, we'll get you situated. We'll get you comfortable as we continue to do more of these episodes, too.
Yes,
and we'll get you in that rhythm, Coach. I promise you that. But first season here at the helm of the defending OVC champion UT Martin Skyhawks. And your first year as a Division I head coach. Starting off there, what are some things that you've noticed as you've made the jump from junior college, where you spent a lot of time there, to then now into the Division I world? What are some differences you've seen as you've started?
Well, a lot. I mean, to start with, just the resources at the Division I level, the administration, the alignment in administration. I mean, Kurt McGuffin, I think, is the best athletic director in the country, not just at the mid-major level. He's phenomenal. And Ritter told me that also, so he was right. Dr. Freeman's phenomenal, our chancellor. And so the alignment is just, it's big time mid-major Division I basketball, and I think that's something that really is obvious from day one. It was obvious from the interview stages, and I think that's exciting. On kind of the polar opposite, everybody has talent here at this level. Not that there weren't great JUCO teams everywhere, but there was some separating factors. And here, there at the Division I level, there are no bad teams. They're not bad players. It's just everybody's got talent, and so you've got to be you've got to be better than your opponent daily at what you want to be great at. Your team has to understand, what you want to be great at in the micro, in the details, and there's just no margin for error here. And it's also exciting because as a competitor, in you, that's a very exciting challenge, going forward. But I'd say those are two of the big things that really.
What about the style of basketball? Is it different?
Not
basketball
really.
is basketball.
I think just older. Because teams are very physical here. The way they run their coverages. I mean, obviously there's a lot of different ways to play, but it's the fact that they're just so much bigger and stronger and older. At the junior college level, you go against some really physical, very athletic, very talented teams. Now we've played against NBA players. Yeah. So the talent's always been there, but generally you're getting 18, 19, 20-year-old guys. And here, we're going to be playing against a lot of 24-year-old guys. I mean, we had a secret scrimmage against a team with a 6-year point guard, and that's old. That's old.
That's a lot of knowledge, though, of the game, too, for a young man.
It is. I mean, just a lot of knowledge. And he was a former junior college guy. Wow. And, now he's been in Division I for 4 years, and in addition, 2 years at junior college. And so, but just his body, his, the knowledge, the mentality, all that. So that, to me, is the biggest. I think the style of play is very similar. I think the athleticism, the talent is just now you're getting the older, more developed versions of that.
And I've always felt, and you see it more in the NBA, but when a player's athletic ability and then their mental, when it matches, and you're right, as a junior college coach, like you haven't gotten to work with that kind of experience and wisdom, I guess is the word.
For sure. And I think what you said is just so impactful, because that impacts what we try to look at in our recruiting process. It impacts how we're developing our guys. Because if we can take a player, obviously we want them to be good right from day one, obviously, right? But if we have a 6'9" athletics, sophomore, he's not a finished product. And so obviously we have to kind of almost have two plans at the same time. We have to try to do everything we can to get that player ready to help us win right now, because the only year that matters is this year. Mm-hmm. And we have to get him where he can help our basketball team compete and hopefully win an OVC championship, for a second straight year. But also we have to have a long-term view in our development that we can't just be too short-sighted, where what can this player be even next year? And what can he be by his senior year? And so walking that fine line, if it's all about the development and all about what he can be, and he's not helping you win this year, that's not real smart. Mm-hmm. But if you're only short-sighted and it's only about this year, there's no development on there, I'm not sure if that's exactly what I believe in either. And so trying to walk that fine line is
And
difficult.
it changes. I mean, it's your ability to pivot when you need to, I guess.
Yeah, it really is. And obviously the most important thing is what does it take for this year for us to win. But, but if we can, the more we can mesh, I believe in high IQ. I believe in feel for the game. I believe in, just how to play. And as you said, all the way to the NBA level, now you've got the best athletes in the world that are also the smartest basketball players in the world. And so how can we get a small chunk down size of that here, at our level, and how can we develop that through what we do with our drills, what we do with our film sessions, and how can we get a little bit better on that daily?
Yeah.
And 16 newcomers on the 17-man roster. David Kamwanga, the lone returner here for UT Martin. You have 12 international players on the roster. That ranks number 1 in NCAA Division I men's basketball. Chris and I have had the great fortune of already seeing the pronunciation guide, and so we already know that. I know that, I've come up with some nicknames for the team. UT FIBA. UT FIBA was one that
Love that.
UT FIBA, UT Martin International. We could run with that one too. There are so many. I've been saving them up. I've been ready to just let them loose now.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. And so, even during the recruiting trail, it's funny. And by the way, we kind of have 13 international guys because I'm not sure what Puerto Rico is.
They're right. It's that fine line.
Fine line
counts.
I would definitely say we have 13 guys.
I'd say we have 13 because they can't vote. In the states, they're not a state yet. So to me, that's we're still,
he is
international.
Yeah,
he's international on that
100%.
His native language is Spanish. It's not English, so he's international. So. No, I love those. And so it was funny in recruiting. I think it was in July. I had a couple assistant coaches out recruiting, and so. Coaches always talk to other coaches and this and that. So a couple of D1 coaches talked to him and said, oh, you work for the international guy, don't you? And so I became the international guy, not even the international coach, no, just the international guy. And so my assistant said they're going to get T-shirts made of the international guy.
I need UT FIBA T-shirts.
Yeah,
that's what I need.
I like that.
So then why international players? And I mean, Chris and I, we've seen the Olympics, especially this past year, where it has been where the U.S. used to just dominate and put LeBron and Kevin Durant out there, Steph Curry. But then you watch Serbia play them so tight and be in a position to win the game as well. Why recruit some international players and bring them in? What do you see about the game and their game that makes them attractive to bring them here?
I think there's a few different factors. I think, number one, and we already alluded to it a little bit, I believe so much in basketball IQ, feel for the game, and just being taught the team game, the spatial game, playing very unselfish. And so that's the game that they are brought up on, international players brought up on from a young age. And I got my start as an AAU coach many, many, many years ago, but AAU ball has turned into less teaching, has been more, it's just come out and play, and then everyone's got their own skill trainer. And so the individual development in the States is unbelievable, and it's better than it is international, but the team development is still better international. And so it really fits with what I believe in the style of play, being very unselfish and playing with a great feel for the game. And so that's one reason. And the other reason is just to kind of pivot and do something different, and so everyone obviously, in the States has recruited players from the States. And so where we really value high, character guys as well. And at the junior college level, and even at Division I level, but that kind of limits your pool of players you're going to recruit substantially in college athletics. And so when that pool is limited, we say, all right, well, we're going to still just go against the same guy, for the same, American guys, but maybe we can't get them all. And a lot of those guys are qualifiers, and they're signed at Davidson rather than going to junior college level in the first place. So we said, hey, let's pivot. Let's do something different. Let's do something that most colleges aren't doing.
You zigging when everybody else is zagging.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so obviously we've taken that same philosophy to UT Martin. Unfortunately now, a lot of other Division I's are also catching on to that as well. And so everyone's recruiting the European market a lot more, which has made our job a little tougher.
Not as much as you are.
Not as much as us.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's a big selling point for us. When we recruit these
100%,
European guys, we say, hey, if you want to come from Europe, you want to come from Africa, you want to come from Dominican Republic, wherever it is, come to us. We're Team Euro, or we're Team International, or whatever it is. And so hopefully that gives us a little bit of leg up, even though everyone's starting to recruit international a lot more. As you said, not like we are.
But as you establish that foundation and those connections all over the world, you're ahead of everybody.
Yes, absolutely. And the other thing, I think it fits Martin well also. And when we recruit, because, I love Martin. I think this place is an absolute hidden gem. I think UT Martin is my UCLA. I mean, this is phenomenal. But when you're recruiting a player from Chicago, maybe they don't want to go to a small town. But if I'm recruiting an international player, we don't hide anything. We say, hey, it's a small town. If you don't want to be in a small town, maybe don't come to UT Martin. But our international guys love it. And then they get here, and the first thing they say is, oh, my gosh, Coach, it's so green.
Yeah.
And they just love it. And then, they are, big men on campus here because, they go in the community. And, of course, our players are always in the community. But their accents are unique, and it's different. And so I think hopefully it's great for the community as well.
Definitely.
Absolutely. So Skyhawk Madness tomorrow night in the Elam Center at 6 p.m. Your first message here to our podcast crowd to get them out there, what's that going to be to get us a good crowd there tomorrow night?
Hey, Skyhawk Madness is going to be so exciting. It's going to be amazing. You're going to get to see our fantastic team and players. You're going to see Coach McMillan and the women's team and their fantastic players. It's just going to be a high-energy, exciting event at Elam. It starts at 6 o'clock. I will say the three-point contest, I've done these Madness deals for many, many years. The three-point contest is going to be the highlight.
Okay.
And it's so exciting. You're going to have, obviously the men's, have their little deal, the women. The winner of the men is going to play against the winner of the women's team for the overall champion. And I'll tell you what, the crowd gets excited, the teams get excited. So I just think the energy tomorrow night. It's a great little kickoff, tip-off to the season, which is starting very, very, very soon.
Very soon. Next week.
Yes.
Next week. It's an exciting time.
Yeah.
Coach, thanks so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow night. Going to be a great time.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah,
Thank
we'll
you.
take a break. When we come back, we'll have head coach of the UT Martin football team, Jason Simpson, join us here on Skyhawk Sports Talk.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And we're back here on Skyhawk Sports Talk. It has already begun off the air. It's all right. We'll just carry it over now to our live portion of the podcast. Davis Gregory here with Chris Brinkley, wrapping things up with head coach of the UT Martin football team, Jason Simpson, as the Skyhawks beat Eastern Illinois 52-17 on Family Weekend. Coach, a really complete performance from your guys. 4 full quarters on both sides of the ball, and then special teams too. Really, the guys put everything together on Saturday.
No, I was pleased with it, certainly. All three phases. No, you're right. Did some really, really good things. You start with our special teams and our punt return unit, and Jerry Partridge is in charge of that. And that group, I think they're number 2 in the country right now, nationally in punt return. And O'Shea's courage to catch it and trust his blocking, and guys are taking pride in it. So I was pleased with that. O'Shea had a positive kickoff return. Mm-hmm. It's easy just to fair catch it. That's the less risky thing to do and just take it at the 25, But, when you get that, you get it out to the 32 and maybe even 35 now, your percentages, really, they probably go up another 10% to be able to get points on that drive, okay? And, then Rucker goes in when O'Shea gets out and has the 50-yard return and stuff. So, very excited about that. We made our field goal. We kicked off well, punted well. I think Van Winkle had a, 47-yard average or something like that, 40-something yard average. So, very pleased with our special teams. Defensively, it was a bend but not break type mentality, okay? And I take a lot of pride in that with our coaches of being able to play off of each other. That's a game to where if we're not scoring on offense, then maybe there's more pressure. Maybe there's more tighter coverage, okay? But, I thought Coach Butcher did a nice job of saying, okay, if you can throw the field out, we'll give it to you, all right? Now, they threw the ball 54 times, all right, and there was 2 big, what we would consider big plays. It was a 35-yard pass and then a plus 20-yard pass. So – you say, okay, you threw for 350. I got to tighten up your pass defense, okay? But it takes, you only scored 17 points, all right? And so, there's different ways to do it, and that was the way to do it this week as long as we were scoring is eventually they're going to get a holding call. Eventually what happened, they turned it over 3 times, and you get the pick 6 on defense and you score, and you get the 2 other interceptions. This week may be totally different, okay? So I like it that we can play defense in different styles and not just crowd the line of scrimmage and play man coverage and stuff. We played a lot of mix-ems, a lot of cover 3, a lot of quarters, and then with some pressures as well. And then offensively, to be able to score different ways, for Kincaid to get some, and I thought he played well to get some touchdown passes. I think he had 3 on the day, and then he ran one in on a nice third down, power read, as we call it, on a third down, kind of caught them by surprise. And to be kind of balanced, 200-plus yards passing, 200-plus yards rushing, that's a good day. No, that's a good day. Now, some things I wasn't happy with, okay, the first drive on defense. Okay, we gave up a score, all right. We wasn't detailed out, okay. And then if you look at the tape, probably the first 15 plays on offense, okay, there's some skill players, whether it be receivers, quarterbacks, that there were some detrimental things that were going on that could have cost us and will cost us against better teams. So that'd be my message to the players, to where it looks dominating, but there's such a fine line. I mean, the momentum swings, the first downs, another set of down. We're chasing the perfect game. That's the message every day in practice. How do you have the perfect practice? How do you have the perfect broadcast? Maybe you have. I don't know. Was your mom here?
She was. She was.
We scored 52 with her here, so I'm kind of fired up.
She sat in the booth.
She did. She was in the booth with us.
Did you let her talk?
No, we didn't have.
Come on, man. Come on,
I can't
man.
have her telling stories.
Come on,
broadcast. I can't risk that.
That's why you're endearing. Is that if you go the other way on this, you're just a regular Joe.
Yeah. That's right. What broadcasters had their mom on the headset?
You think Bob Costas ever had his mom up there and didn't let her talk?
I don't know. He might have. Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. But no, she was happy. Well, and again, the first game she came to was Murray State in 2019. We won that one. I think that was family weekend. And then the next one she came to was Kennesaw in my senior year, and that one didn't go well. And then Charleston Southern last year, it was 3-0 going into the fourth quarter. I'm like, Mom, you gotta just This is your one game. This is your one game. This is your one opportunity. You better make it count.
But we're 3-1 with her, right?
Exactly. We are 3-1 with her.
Sounds good to me.
3-1 record.
And I just say this, and if my mom, Carol Simpson's, listening, and she does, and she asks, is he really as young as you say he is? Yes, he is, Mom, by the way, if you're listening. Okay. If I was doing a broadcast, I would have you on the air because that's how much I appreciate and love you. So,
would you let her call play?
Absolutely. Absolutely. My mother gave me life. She gave me her whole her whole life has been devoted to her children.
That's
and
right.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Maybe your generation doesn't.
Maybe we don't. You
obviously don't appreciate my time because I've been here for 30 minutes. And you got a big game this week, but I see football's kind of pushed down to the bottom, but that's okay. We're good. We're good. Wow. Hey, if you're going to be in charge, you can't be blaming this on Chris. Chris always took care of me and made me feel special, and the program feel special. And
look at you, Davis.
So
Kincaid had a big day.
You can't be everybody's best friend, Davis. You can't do it.
I'm trying.
If you try to make everybody happy, you make nobody happy.
And as soon as the season's over, we got 4 regular season games, hopefully some more after that. And then in a couple of weeks, you can, act like just kick me to the side, and I won't be over here at Zaxby's anymore, and I'll be recruiting, and you can spend your time with the other sports.
Well, I wish I had a violin.
I know this is. Man, Kincaid played a great game, Coach.
No, he did.
For real.
He really did.
Being honest, he did. 3 passing touchdowns, and all of them going to the tight ends. I don't know if you knew, but Sunday was National Tight Ends Day. You all celebrated it early with Tyler Dawson and Max Dowling, who loves playing Illinois teams.
He does.
I don't understand this, but he has 2 touchdowns against them. Kincaid, though, 2 beautiful balls to Max.
It was good.
And then his reads on the run, I was very impressed with his agility to get to the end zone.
Well, I tell you, one, I think Max, he just said he was buying a lottery ticket in Illinois this week, because I think he's got 6 touchdowns in Illinois in the last 2 years. Okay, so no good. First of all, I want to give Danny, our quarterback coach, and Nick Cochran, credit. The good schemes by those guys. I mean, those are played. Actually, one of them we ran last year against them. Max scored a touchdown on, and the other one, very similar formation, but the back was anyway. There was a little modification of it, and they played exactly, like we want to. That is such a rush to practice because you got to understand now when we put route combinations together, you got a menu this big, right, of different runs or route combinations. You obviously got more passes than you do runs, okay? But if they're multiple in their coverages, right, you got to have some different answers. They're either full progression where the quarterback reads it left to right or right to left, okay? They could be 3 layered routes where you read them top down, okay? or they're coverage read routes based on 1 high you read this side, 2 high you read this side. And both those particular plays were coverage indicator routes where we got the 2 high and we ran the switch, the corner and the post. And the kids executed beautifully. Our coaches did a great job.
What you've just described is something most people don't realize, though. But I think permutations is the mathematical, but the possibilities.
I don't know what that word means.
No,
I don't know what that means either. So I'm in your boat right now.
The possibilities and options are limitless almost, in how you can call a game.
Yeah.
And then what can happen within each one of those calls.
And this coaching staff is doing a great job. Like, I need to bring a call sheet over here with you, okay? Like, Monday was our it's Sunday and Monday's our idea day, okay? So everybody kind of goes and we pair up and watch stuff together, and we come back and we say, okay, what do they do? What do they do on first down in these formations? Second down in these formations? Third down, red zone, short yardage, And so then you're putting it all together, all right, and trying to play the odds. But guess what? They can play something totally different, all right, this week. The defense coordinator could call it different, all right. So, you have to have your quarterback coached up of what ifs, okay. But yet you can't spend 30 minutes every day on every play, right? You got to move on, to the next play. So, no, that is the X's and O of it. And there's certain coaches and certain staffs that do a great job with it. Now, in some way, some people will say, this is what we do, and we're just going to do it better than what you can stop it. All right, and to a certain extent, there's some things like that we do like that, especially in the run game, because of all the different, slanting and blitzing and stuff. You just can't have – I don't like to have too many fragile runs. What I mean by that is, if they do this, we're good. But if they do something else, it may look very ugly, and you get the tackle for loss.
Yeah.
I don't want to – now, you always have some because there's a possibility of a big play, all right? But, you don't want those second 12s, those third and 10. But in the pass game, like I said, we put it in different menus, like full progression, 3-level, 3-layered routes, or progression with or coverage progression.
Do you teach your players how to learn that?
The quarterbacks.
Well, there's got to be a system to learn it, and you would know.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's okay. This is in this category. So on this play, this is where your eyes start, left to right, right to left. Okay. On this one, like I said, it's coverage indicator. So you're reading that boundary safety. If he goes to the middle of the field, then that means it's 1 high. Now the ball. Now your eyes go to this flat defender. Man's easy, right? Problem is that when people show you man, right, there's usually blitzes coming with it. Okay, so it's really KYP, right? Know your personnel, pick the best matchup that's a man-beater route. Like a curl's not a great man-beater route, but a dig is, or a vertical is, or, something that's got a hard edge to the route. But a lot of times some teams lately have been, it looks like cover 3 deep zone, but it's really catch man. Okay, because every zone coverage at some distance turns into man, right? I mean, by the time you get 25, 30 yards down the field, there's 2 bodies standing there beside each other. So those are all those different nuances to it, and you're doing all that from the quarterback spot while sometimes there's 3, 4, 5, even 6 guys, trying to get to you.
And what still amazes me, and I'm going to sound like a novice person, but from the press box, that's easier to see. When you're actually on the field, my goodness, you've got to see all of this. And even though you're closer to what's happening, it's much more difficult to see, right?
No, 100%. No, and there's some things that you've seen just so many times in your career. You know what it was. There's the videos really helped, the sideline technology, okay. What did you see right there? You ask your quarterback, and he says this, and you show him no. Look right here. Yeah. I mean, it happens. It certainly happens. Now, and sometimes you get confused. Find the back. Check the ball down. But no,
you're one game from the press box when you had the kidneys.
Yeah.
Were you in so much pain that you couldn't appreciate getting to watch a game from up there, or do you?
Yeah.
Or I guess as an assistant, you were up in the booth
as a
young
coordinator before I came here. Yeah, and because you take the emotions out of it.
Oh, that's true.
Because it's like playing the video game.
Yeah.
You're looking at your call sheet, so there's all your answers by down and distance and stuff, and so you're able to pick them. You're able to. I think from the press box, it allows you to stay a play ahead. It allows you to set things up a little bit better because all the emotions are out, the officials are out, just being able to see it better. It looks like a video. It looks like a video game.
We are beside the coaching staff, though. It gets emotional occasionally.
Do they?
I love it. I love it. Listen, I get emotional. I get fired up. Listen, Chris will tell you, I get excited. That's the end of the day. But you talked about Coach defense. Jalen Sharp pick 6, his first career interception. Turns out to go the other way for a touchdown. Tevin Shippen interception. Lamorion Pierce gets a pick 2. All of that combining with Jalen's pick 6, you got 21 points off of turnovers and didn't turn the ball over. Held Eastern Illinois to 48 yards rushing, and then Chris Hunter has 9 tackles and 1.5 tackles for a loss. This team is really coming together, and I mean that's 3 straight weeks of just incredible performances by this group of really 3.5 quarters or more of exceptional football.
I think, am I right on this? That has our defense given up over 17 points in the last 4 games? Go back to Kennesaw.
Kennesaw was 10.
24-17, 24-10.
It was probably 10. I can't
Alex,
remember.
what was it?
Yeah.
Kennesaw.
No, I think you're right.
I think it was 10. Western Illinois was 17?
Yeah, and that was, with the second. Third group.
Yeah.
24-13.
All right.
Okay.
So go back, and then what was the next week? Now, we'll have a chance to win all 4 of these games if they stay on that path.
Of course.
I mean, we will. That's certainly expectations. It's hard to do. It's very hard to do, and because, Western Illinois or Eastern Illinois caught one in the end zone, right, and we kept playing through it. We got beat on the play, but Castleberry played through it and was able to dislodge the ball. That's 24. And then we stopped them on a goal line stand down there. They had to settle for a field goal, right? That could have been, 7 more on top of that. So people are going to move the ball against you, and that quarterback's good. The difference of that receiver and that quarterback were good. The ball's coming out very fast. He's back there at 9 yards, and you're rushing as hard as you can. The ball's coming out, on those comebacks to the field, which is where the open area was, in 2 seconds. And it's hard to get to them if they just get run over slowly. And the ball's coming out within 2 seconds. So, but anyway, very pleased with our defense, and hopefully we'll continue that trend.
In a big game this week, Tennessee State, you are tied in second place with the Tigers. They're 6-2, 3-1 in the Big South OVC. And Coach Eddie George has got these guys playing some of their best football under his leadership. What have you noticed about them, and what type of a season that they're having and playing at?
Well, you're right. I think they're probably – the jury's probably still out on both of us, to be quite honest with you. I mean, you could say, well, we've played Kansas State and SEMO, all right, and they've played North Dakota State. So I'm sure that's kind of how they're looking at it. But it's been a while since they've put a 7 or 8 win season together. Okay, so I'm sure they're excited about that, and this is Eddie's 4th year, I believe. And, so I'm sure they're very confident and very excited for us to come in there. I think they're ranked this week, and we're not. So I'm kind of happy about that, for our player standpoint. But, no, they're the best team we've played since SEMO. That's the way I look at it. Very good on defense. I mean, you look at the numbers. I think they played Howard 2 weeks ago. They're coming off an off week, and Howard threw for 33 yards. Lindenwood, who's more of a running team, but they threw for 90 yards. Okay, so they've been very stingy against the pass. It's just hard to score against them. They do a good job. And even though we've beat them 3 years in a row, I don't think we've scored in the 30s yet. I think it's been 2 years in a row. It's been 20-20. I think last year we won 20-10 or something. The year, I think Keon's year we ended up scoring
year was
35, so whatever. But they're improved. They're good. They got a good scheme, a very difficult scheme. To be quite honest, there's nothing easy. There's usually every offense you look at. Okay, there's some play to where you're going to have a positive play. You watch them on tape. No, they can test all the throws and the runs. They're good in the box with their D-line and their linebackers. On offense, they've got a 6-year quarterback as well.
Who I feel like he's been there forever.
Yeah,
Traylon Ellis has been
he
been
was
like
at Austin P, and then,
right.
so we've played him 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Okay, he's very mobile, he's fast, he can run. There's games where he throws, he looks like the best quarterback in the league. Throughout his career from Austin P until, at Tennessee State, and they've got some good receivers, and so. I know what they're capable of. Their numbers aren't great right now on offense, okay, but they're doing probably what they need to do to win 6 games. And but they can be explosive. Their returner, the kick return, punt return guy is one of the tops in the country. He's running the kickback, so that's a problem we got to contend with. So, good challenge for us this week. We'll know more about ourselves, after this week.
And as you get set for this one, you've won 4 straight games, Coach. A lot of momentum rolling into this week. And how do you keep that building and not, I guess, look so much far ahead and be like, all right, well, we got to win our next 4 games, but take it on a week-by-week basis and keep the steam rolling?
Yeah, I think that's pretty easy this week. Last week was the challenge of that. Coming off the off week, not to grow complacent. You're playing a 1-6 team, even though, anybody can beat anybody on any given day. So the players and the coaching staff, I give them credit, did a nice job of, even though we didn't start as fast as you would like to, still you play 4 quarters.
Yeah.
And I think this week kind of motivation and stuff takes care of itself. We just got to make sure we don't make the game bigger than what it is. Okay, it's a football game. It's not. We don't despise them. They don't despise us. It's two good teams playing, and but I have a lot of respect for Coach George. He's been great to me since he's been in this league. What I mean by that is very complimentary of our program and asking questions. I mean, there's a guy that's in the College Football Hall of Fame, the Heisman Trophy winner. He's asking me questions about running the program and stuff. I just think that's very it seems to have a lot of humility for a guy of his stature. So I have a lot of respect for him. And I think he's worked really hard to try to build that program since he's been there and hired a guy off our staff, all right, to be his offensive coordinator. So I take that as a compliment, and they're doing a good job.
It's going to be a great game, UT Martin, Tennessee State. Coach, thank you always for your time, and good luck on Saturday.
Well, let me see.
I knew the second I popped up in my brain, I was like, that's what I'm going to say, and I was like,
couple 3 and outs. I'm going to turn and look at him in the box. I won't say anything, but just know what I'm thinking, that that could have been the difference of this meeting I got to get to.
Because he's got to go.
Thank you. Coach, thank you so much.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And wrapping things up here on Skyhawk Sports Talk, Davis Gregory with Chris Brinkley. Make sure to find all of our events, tickets for all the events, and live stream links, also live stats links on UTMsports.com. Chris, any final comments?
No, just excited. A lot going on. Go to UTMsports.com, follow us on social media, and check out all of the events taking place.
And for Chris and myself, Davis Gregory, all of our coaches and student athletes on the podcast today, we say God bless from Zaxby's in Martin, Tennessee.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.